Welcome back to Pinching Pennies with me, Rhonda. In today's video, I'm working on more Moody fall decor. And stick around, at the end of the video, I'll show you my 5 off 25 plan for the Dollar General this Saturday. We have lots of crafting and decorating to do, so let's get started. Here's everything I brought home from my last shopping trip to my favorite thrift store. And again, they only charged me $4 for everything you see on this table. It's a Christian thrift store that I go to, and the money that they get goes to help the people in the community. And I also donate whenever I can. The first thing I picked out at the thrift store was this tray. Picking out natural elements to decorate with is really going to raise your fall decorating game. However, since this is a Moody themed thing, I am painting it black, but I'm leaving the bottom and the sides natural. The paint I'm using is black chalk paint. I think painting that tray was a good decision. Now I'm going to embellish it with the metal leaves that I found. These are actually a pair of wall decorations, but I thought they would be more fun to craft with if the leaves were individual, so I cut them all off with my wire cutters. I arranged the leaves into what I thought looked like falling leaves, like a couple sparse little leaves at the top, falling into a pile of leaves at the bottom. And so I arranged them like this, and I got my E6000, which I ran out of, and wound up using the super glue all-purpose adhesive that you get at the Dollar Tree, which works just fine, works just like E6000, and it glued them on great. And the next morning I realized I had made 2 eyes, a nose, and a smiling face. So no, I couldn't live with that, so I took all of them back off again, repainted where I needed to touch up, and glued them back down in a pattern this time, and made sort of a circle. And this time I used Gorilla Hot Glue, and it worked just fine too, and was faster. Keep watching to see 2 different ways I style this. Do you remember the donkeys from last week? And I didn't buy them because I didn't think that they were fall. But you know what? Maybe they can be. They're brown and the horses got gray, so I'm going to use this in my fall grouping. And I know it's hard to see on camera what the original color of this frame is, and I have one way to describe it. It's whitewashed 80s wood paneling. Think back to the 80s, maybe the 70s is where it actually came from. I was little in the 80s, so maybe it actually came from the 70s. It was probably installed in the 70s. So I just used some rub and buff and brought this old 80s frame into, what do we call it? Is it the 20s? Are we calling it the 20s? So I've taken this 80s picture frame and I've brought it into the 20s. I love the color of this bread pan. And the first thing I thought of to do with it was to make a floral arrangement. But I thought that was kind of boring, so I challenged myself to think of other ways you could use a bread pan. So I thought maybe it would be cute to be used as a shelf, like on a wall or something. And I had this cute handmade little vase that fit perfectly in there, and so I ran with it. I thought for a long time about how you would attach something like this to a wall, and you could put a bracket on the back or screw it directly to the wall if you wanted to. But I also was thinking maybe this could work as a tabletop decoration somehow too. And so I got my easel and I stacked it up, but it wasn't really fitting the greatest. So we're going to do a little Gorilla Glue welding. So this is a technique that I turn to whenever I need something to hold in place. If we're talking glass or metal. Now, Gorilla Glue is not going to come off of everything, but it will come off of glass and metal. So if I'm looking for something I can make sturdy, but temporarily, if I want to remove this, I can peel that Gorilla Glue right back off. But while I need it to hold, it holds great. So there you go, a whole new way to use a bread pan. And it completes the first grouping. And remember, in the first one I said there were 2 ways to style it, so this is the first way. I've stacked some Reader's Digest that I thrifted in the last video and made it like a riser. And that is my spray painted florals from the last video too. And this is the second way I styled the tray. I just propped it up with something behind it. You could also hang it on the wall. Now to make the things for the second grouping. My inspiration picture got lost. I guess I deleted it, but this one is similar. I'm going for a dark background and it has some white flowers and in a gold frame. Finding the gold frame was easy, but I wanted to find some material that looked like what I saw in my inspiration picture. And what I found was a skirt. It had pink flowers instead of white, and so the idea was born to paint the flowers. The first thing I did was decide what part of the material or the skirt I wanted to cut out to use for my design. And then I cut it out. I made sure that it was enough to cover the backing and wrap around. I decided to run iron over mine because there were some pretty deep set wrinkles. You want your material to be as flat as possible. I used spray adhesive on the backing so the material would stick. I wrapped it around to the back and I taped it like a Christmas present. And this was just to hold it in place for now. I hadn't decided what I wanted to do with the back yet. So let the painting begin. And I'm using all acrylic paints. I'm using parchment, milk chocolate, and white. And so my main color is going to be the parchment color, so like a cream color. And then I'm going to do accents with the milk chocolate color. And then I'm using the bright white color sort of as highlights. You can see here I picked a brush that kind of looked like the shape of the petals I was painting. So this made it really easy. I used a thin brush to do the details and the shading, and a medium-sized brush to do highlights with the white paint. And we'll turn it around here and see how our new art looks. And it's pretty close to the inspiration. I wish I could have found that inspiration picture. I was so happy to have found that skirt that had almost the same print that the picture had. To make the back look nice, I used some brown craft paper and I cut it out and stapled on top. I've been on the lookout for some taper candles that I could thrift, and I'm going to turn them into twisted candles. So the new trendy thing is to buy twisted candles, and they have them at Target and different places, but why do that when we can buy these for pennies and twist them ourselves? So I've got here a Tupperware thing large enough for my candles to fit into, and I've microwaved some water for 2 minutes, and it's just enough water that will cover the candles. Then I'm covering it up and I'm going to set it aside to sit for 10 minutes. And while the wax is softening up so that I can twist it, I'm working on the candlesticks. Now these are just plastic candlesticks, and so I first tried to use my gold rub and buff on them, and it didn't work out very well. It didn't want to stick to the plastic. So once I got that part all dried up so that I could move on to something else, then I painted them with just black chalk paint. And I left the top rim of them that brassy color. Now about these candles, the 10 minutes is up. They've been sitting in this really hot water, which is cool enough to touch now. Remember, I've microwaved it for 2 minutes before I poured it over the candles. Next, you take your candle out of the hot water and flatten it. Be careful. Don't apply too much pressure or you'll break it right in half. I know from experience this isn't my first rodeo. I have tried to twist candles a couple of times before and it never worked out. I finally found something that worked for me. So if you've seen something that says just soak them in warm bath water, baloney. It needs to be hotter water than that. So now I'm just twisting the candle carefully, very, very carefully, while it's pliable and under the water. If it comes out of the water, the wax is going to cool and it's going to break. So keep it under the water and just keep twisting until you're happy with the looks of it. I didn't want my candles to be green, so I gave them a coat of white DIY paint, and I decided to do a distressing, well, not so much a distressing, a dirtied up effect on them. So I did a coat of the Waverly antiquing wax and I let that dry. And then I did another coat of the white on top. And before the white paint dried on top, I took a damp paper towel and I wiped over the candle, and that drug all the layers of paint colors through to the top and made it look kind of like a withered up stick. And I loved it. So yeah, when you paint your candles, you'll never be able to light them, but they'll sit and look pretty anyway. And here's our black painted candle sticks to add to the grouping. There's just a couple more things to do. And here's a crafty, thrifty tip. When you're in the thrift store and you see something like this that doesn't have its pieces, look around and see what you can use in place of the piece that's missing. She's a cutie little lamp. She just needs to be a different color. So I'm going to paint her with some truffle chalk paint. And this was amazing coverage. I only had to give it one coat. And the last part of our grouping is this old vintage box. It used to have a lid. I'm sad that it's not there anymore, but I'm still going to use it in my grouping. However, it had some places that needed some touching up. I mean, the whole thing has got a patina, like grimy, dirty, old, and that's the way I want it. The problem is down there on that left corner foot, it is too shiny. So I'm going to take some brown chalk paint. No, I'm sorry, I'm taking black chalk paint first, and I'm going to put that down on the feet. And then I'm going to take some brown antiquing wax over the black paint, and that blends it in pretty nicely with the rest of the box. And this is the final look for the second grouping today. And a look back at our first grouping. Now time for my 5 off 25 plan for this Saturday. This deal is only good Saturday, August the 3rd at the Dollar General store. Here's the list and you can take a screenshot and I'll go through the coupons. We have $1.50 off Arm & Hammer detergent, $1.50 off Palmolive dish soap, $2 off Tone body wash, and you have to buy 2 to get the deal. So I get 2 different scents, and $6 off 2 Pantene shampoos or conditioners. So I get 1 of each, and it's like getting 1 for free. You'll notice there are lots of coupons for Pantene, but you only want to have the $6 one clipped. If one of the $2 is clipped, then that's the only amount that will take off at the register. And don't forget to clip the 5 off 25 and put in your phone number at checkout. And here's the breakdown. We have $26.05 in products and $16 in coupons, leaving $10.05 to pay plus tax at the register. So good luck, I hope you score. And now for today's 2 minutes of calm. I've been playing with a new free app on my phone and it identifies birds. So I am sitting out and listening to the birds and seeing them pop up on my phone, what kind they are, and it's exciting. And I thought I would share it with you all. I'll put up on this screen a picture of the app if you want to download it too. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!